In this unit, we'll be talking about various body systems that you probably studied before, like circulatory, nervous system, digestive system, and so on. And basically, this is a hard thing to do because you're not just individual systems. All your systems have combined together to make what you are. You are a set of systems, and that's why we'll see in some of these it's hard to talk about one aspect of a system without bringing in another, because they are integrated into one huge system that makes up what you are. And you've seen this before. We can approach studying living things at several different levels, and you see what we're going to do now? We're going to kind of look at the tissue type level right here, and then go somewhat into the organ level. And then later on, we'll take individual systems and look at those to see how they affect the entire body. So let's start with this. Tissue, kind of an unusual division in the body, because you typically go from cells to organs, but there is kind of an intermediate there. Tissue basically is a group of cells that just have a similar function, and most of the time they don't have a real structure to speak of. So when you think of a heart, you think of the aorta and the four chambers of the heart. Tissue, though, is more just a mass of cells that have the same function in doing something. And as we'll see, tissue will be what we will build organs from. You have to have that type of tissue to build a particular type of organ. There are four tissues that we're going to look at. Epithelial tissue. You've heard these before when we took mouth swabs for anything, or when we extracted DNA. We took epithelial cells, or tissue basically, from the inside of your mouth. And those sort of make up the lining to everything, as well as certain organs that are out there. So some organs are considered completely epithelial, but it's typically the lining or the outside surface of something that would be an epithelial. So if you think of it this way, here's a regular donut on the left. Your body is kind of like an elongated donut, in that you could be inside your body, you see, in your tissue there, but still be, I'm talking about being inside the hole. If you're inside the donut hole, you could think, well, I'm not really inside the donut, which it would be saying I'm inside the bread part of the donut. But that's kind of the way we're going to look at some of this. You can be inside of tissue and still have a coating of tissue that you're looking at that's not really something that you're inside. We'll talk more about that later. Also, there's a thing called connective tissue. A lot of parts of your body are made of this, such as bone tissue, and even blood is considered a tissue. It's made of cells, obviously, which are similar in nature, and they have the same job to do in your body. And then fat tissue, or adipose tissue, is another type, and these are all connective tissues. Nerve tissue, completely different from other types in your body. Your brain, your nerves going different places. Most of your sense organs are considered nerve tissue, and these have the ability, obviously, to carry an electrical signal. That's how they work. Muscle tissue. You are a large proportion of your body is made of muscle tissue. Those cells and the tissue itself can only do one thing, basically. It can contract, and then the other thing, which is not really doing something, is just not contracting. So they don't really push or pull or something, or I guess they do pull, but that's all they do. Muscle tissue can just contract, and then you can stop contracting it. Okay, so an organ then, we'll define that as a group of tissues that perform some specific function. So tissues kind of work together to do a general function. An organ could be a group of tissues that do a specific function in your body in some way. And here's an example here. Your eye would be considered an organ, and look at the different tissues that your eye is made of. You have nerve tissue that actually control the contractions of your iris. You have epithelial tissue that make up the sclera, or the white part of your eye. You have connective tissue. You have muscle tissue that actually can move the iris muscles back and forth. And that's going to be a general theme when we look at organs. They could be made of all four of these or anything up to four types of tissue. And then later, as we get out of this, we'll start on this unit, we'll talk about systems. And I know you've studied this in junior high before, but this is just a group of organs that perform a really specific function in some way, such as the circulatory system or the digestive system. So later on we'll go into this, but your digestive system obviously is made of several organs: mouth, esophagus, liver, stomach, intestine, colon, and their obvious purpose is to break down food and extract nutrients from it. And one thing to remember in all of this, you are a very delicately designed machine. The psalmist talks about you being knit together before you were even born. So God has known you ever since you were an embryo, and he's put you together in a way that just, it tries to be normal, basically. So if you think about what normal health or normal functioning should be, that's called homeostasis. And your body is in this constant fight to regain homeostasis. So, for example, in between breaths, if you take a breath, obviously that oxygen goes into the blood, but that point when you're not breathing, the blood actually goes down a little bit in oxygen because you're not bringing in oxygen. And you have things that will cause you to take your next breath. And so that would be a kind of a type of homeostasis. Your body senses that, oh, I need to breathe again after taking that last breath. And so homeostasis moves you toward being normal again. If you go outside and get too cold, your body recognizes that. So you're out of homeostasis temporarily until you do something to bring your body temperature back up. So that could be you put on a coat, or you go back inside, or you start shivering, which moves your muscles, making more heat in your body. But one of those things, or all together, is homeostasis. It's a tendency toward the stability of your body parts, or getting them back to where they should be again. Yeah, and every change that is made, whether you eat something, if you eat something, your body senses, hey, something's in my stomach, and I need to do something with this. So you start digesting it, and so on. A lot of these systems in your body, or the actual homeostasis mechanisms, they're called feedback inhibition. So something happens, your body senses it, and then it does something about it, but it can't just keep doing something about it. So let's say that I were sitting here in my house cold, and I go to the thermostat and I turn it up. What would happen if I just kept on and kept on and kept on turning it up? So at some point, I'm going to get warm again, and then I go and turn off the thermostat. And in fact, most thermostats work on their own in a way that's built in to do something like that. For example, let's say that we have this box here that has an air conditioner in it. The white rectangle that you see is actually, it's an expanding piece of metal. So if you want to know something about how a thermostat works on something, this is it. The yellow thing is a switch that turns on and off the air conditioner. So watch what's going to happen. Okay, the white rectangle there, let's say that's normal room temperature. But what would happen if the room got too hot? As you know from physical science, warmer things tend to expand. And so what if that rectangle expanded, and you see it in red now, and you see that it's expanded so much that it's actually pushed the button on the air conditioner? Okay, so what's going to happen now? The air conditioner comes on. So the air conditioner comes on, it gets colder, and now the coldness in this box or this area will affect again the rectangle at the bottom, or it's really just an iron rod or metal rod of some sort. But when that happens, the coldness now will contract it, which will pull it off of the switch, and now the air conditioner goes off, because the switch isn't being pushed anymore. So that's a very crude representation, but that's kind of how your feedback systems work in your body. Something happens, then something else is triggered, which causes a reversal of it, and then you get back to normal condition again. And as you can tell with this air conditioner, in your house, that happens over and over and over. So your house gets a little bit warmer, air conditioner comes on, gets a little bit cooler, air conditioner goes off. And that's usually, most air conditioners are set on about a 2-degree difference. So if it gets 1 degree too warm, the air conditioner comes on. And when it gets 1 degree too cold, the air conditioner goes off.